There is a place in Central Florida that receives an average of 54 inches of rainfall per year. That is more annual rainfall than Seattle, more than Portland, more than virtually any major city in the continental United States. And on its wettest days, roughly 40 million visitors are somewhere inside it. That place was built on a swamp, deliberately. And the engineering required to make that possible is one of the most ambitious hydrological projects ever attempted by a private company in American history. But here is what makes the story interesting. The system mostly works. And on the days it does not, the failure point is not where anyone expects it to be. Walt Disney World covers approximately 27,000 acres in Orange and Osceola counties in Central Florida. To put that in perspective, that is roughly twice the land area of Manhattan. When Disney acquired the property between 1965 and 1967, most of it was cypress swamp, pine flatwoods, and palmetto scrub, a landscape that had been shaped over millennia by Florida's Gishtuet season hydrology. Water moved across this land in sheets. It pooled, it drained slowly through shallow, organic-rich soils into the watershed of the Reedy Creek Basin, which feeds into the greater Kissimmee River system. Disney did not drain this land. That is a common assumption, and it is wrong. What Disney did was far more complex and far more revealing about the limits of large-scale engineering. The original design for Walt Disney World's drainage system was led by a team of civil and hydrological engineers working under the supervision of the Reedy Creek Improvement District, a special taxing district that Disney effectively controlled and that gave the company authority to build and operate infrastructure equivalent to a small municipality. Reedy Creek still exists today, now renamed the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District following a 2023 political dispute with the state of Florida. The engineering team's core problem was this: Central Florida's water table is extraordinarily shallow. In many parts of the property, groundwater sits just 2 to 4 feet below the surface. You cannot build a theme park, a hotel complex, a road network, or a utility corridor on top of a water table that high without managing where that water goes during heavy rain events. And in Florida, heavy rain events are not emergencies. They are Tuesday afternoons in August. The solution was a network of canals, retention ponds, and water control structures that would intercept, redirect, and store stormwater before it could saturate the surface. Disney constructed over 55 miles of canals across the property. The retention ponds you see throughout the resort, the ones that look like decorative lakes around the hotels and parking areas, are not decorative. They are functional stormwater storage basins engineered to specific volumes and outflow rates. Bay Lake and Seven Seas Lagoon, the two large bodies of water adjacent to Magic Kingdom, are not natural. They were excavated, lined, and integrated into the broader water management system. This is what most people don't realize when they visit Walt Disney World. The landscape they are walking through is not a theme park built on top of Florida. It is a hydrological system with a theme park built into it. If this kind of analysis, the infrastructure story underneath the surface story, is what you come to this channel for, subscribe to Deep Signal and hit the bell. This is what we do every week. A like takes 2 seconds, and it genuinely helps more people find this kind of content. Now, here is where this gets more complicated. The system was designed around a specific engineering standard. In Florida, stormwater infrastructure is typically designed to handle what engineers call a 25-year storm event, a rainfall intensity that has a 4% chance of occurring in any given year. Some critical infrastructure on the Disney property was designed to the 100-year standard. These are not guarantees, they are probability thresholds. A 25-year storm does not come once every 25 years. It comes whenever atmospheric conditions produce that intensity of rainfall, regardless of when the last one occurred. Florida's storm climatology has been shifting. NOAA's Rainfall Frequency Atlas, The Atlas 14 dataset, updated in 2018 for the southeastern United States, documented statistically significant increases in extreme short duration rainfall across Florida compared to the previous version of the Atlas. What qualified as a 100-year rainfall event under older engineering standards now occurs more frequently under updated probability models. Infrastructure designed to the old standard is not failing. It is being operated in a rainfall environment that has moved past its design assumptions. This is the same dynamic at work in Miami Beach. Different geography, same underlying pattern. The engineering did not get worse. The baseline changed. At Walt Disney World, the surface expression of this problem is the catch basin network. Catch basins are the intake points for the entire underground drainage system, the graded openings set into pavement and walkways that collect surface water and route it into the subsurface pipe network. That network then carries the water to the retention ponds and canals. Disney's property contains thousands of these intake points across its road network, parking areas, and park pathways. During a standard Florida afternoon thunderstorm, the catch basin network functions as designed. Rain falls, water sheets toward the low points, intakes collect it, and the underground system moves it away fast enough that surface flooding remains minimal and short-lived. During an extreme event, a slow-moving tropical system, a training thunderstorm complex that repeatedly drops heavy rain over the same location, or a direct hurricane interaction, the catch basins become the constraint. The underground pipe network has a finite flow capacity. The retention ponds have finite storage volume. When rainfall intensity exceeds the rate at which intakes can accept and convey water into the subsurface system, water backs up at the surface. Parking areas flood, roadways flood, in some cases, walkways inside the parks themselves take on water. This has happened. During Hurricane Irma in 2017, Walt Disney World closed for the first time since the September 11th attacks. Flooding was documented across multiple areas of the property, including parking facilities and resort roadways. During other significant rain events in years since then, social media footage has shown standing water in areas of the parks and the resort complex, both during and immediately after intense rainfall. The underground infrastructure, including the canals, the retention ponds, and the control structures, continued functioning during these events. The subsurface system did not fail. What failed was the interface between the surface and the subsurface. The catch basins could not accept water fast enough to prevent surface accumulation. The bottleneck was at the top of the system, not the bottom. This distinction matters because it shapes what a solution looks like. If the underground system were failing, the remediation would involve expanding pipe capacity, adding pump stations, or increasing retention volume. All expensive, all disruptive, but all engineering problems with engineering answers. When the failure point is the surface intake network, the problem is more distributed, more difficult to upgrade systematically, and more sensitive to the specific intensity patterns of individual storm events. Disney has made ongoing investments in drainage infrastructure across the resort. The company does not publish detailed engineering specifications for its stormwater systems. And Reedy Creek, now Central Florida Tourism Oversight District, maintains operational data that is not fully public. What is observable is that the resort continues to function at world-class levels most of the time, and visible flooding during extreme events remains an exception rather than a routine condition. But the trend line in Florida's extreme rainfall data points in one direction. NOAA's climate normals, updated in 2021 using data from 1991 to 2020, show measurable increases in Florida's wettest precipitation percentiles compared to the prior 30-year period. The storms that test the edges of engineered systems are becoming more frequent, not less. Walt Disney World is not uniquely vulnerable, it is uniquely legible. Because the property is so large, so well documented, and so heavily visited, the moments when its engineering is tested become visible in ways that comparable failures in municipal stormwater systems rarely are. A flooded parking area at a regional mall generates a local news brief. A flooded area at the most visited theme park on Earth generates global social media coverage and a historical record. What that visibility reveals is not a story about Disney's engineering falling short. The system that was built to make 27,000 acres of Florida swamp into a functional destination is, by any reasonable measure, a remarkable piece of applied hydrology. It works at a scale and a consistency that most comparable infrastructure does not match. What it reveals is the same thing Miami Beach reveals and the same thing Hampton Roads reveals. Engineered systems are built against a fixed set of assumptions about the environment they operate in. When those assumptions shift, when rainfall intensities increase, when sea levels rise, when groundwater tables climb, the systems do not break all at once. They begin to show stress at their edges, at their intake points, and at the interfaces between what was designed and what is now arriving. That stress is not a malfunction. It is information. The question worth sitting with is not whether Disney's engineers made mistakes. They did not. The question is what it means to build permanent infrastructure against baselines that are demonstrably not permanent. That question does not have a comfortable answer. But it is the right question to be asking about Orlando, about Miami, and about every coastal and low-lying city that has bet its physical future on engineering assumptions made in a different climate than the one that is arriving. Subscribe to Deep Signal if that is the kind of question you want to keep exploring. And tell me in the comments, do you think large private operators like Disney have a responsibility to upgrade their infrastructure proactively as climate baselines shift? Or is that a problem for governments to solve? I read every response.